Hello and welcome to the Fade Route NFL podcast. This one for week 14. We're back. We had to take a short break for Thanksgiving just because things didn't work out timing wise, but we're back. It's week 14. We're going to talk about Thursday night football coming up, a pretty good game tonight. The 1 p.m. slate, 4 p.m., Sunday night football, Monday night football, crouton, sink or swim. 3 for the money, which we've got a little twist on this week. A stiff surprise, a random fact. But before I do anything else, I'm going to welcome in our resident celebrity. You know him from Good Morning Football, the mayor.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, listeners, for coming in, taking a gander. It's been a week since you've heard from us. We're not going to get too much into the games from the previous. I'm sure that's been pretty well covered everywhere and anywhere at this point. Thursday night football, the Lions and the Cowboys given a solid by the NFL because they have a full week off before they have to play a Thursday game. It seems like a sweetheart deal to me, but it seems like this might be the standard going forward. If they have to play, it's going to be on Thursday after Thanksgiving. I'm ready to go for week 14.
All right. Before we do that, I have a random fact. So we have a new intro for that's it. Figure out exactly where we're going to play that, but all right. The random fact, do you have any idea what the largest stickable cat is? It's a big cat.
I would say the Panther.
A little smaller. It's a cheetah.
A cheetah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Tom Brady that tameable?
Yeah, I was gonna give you the hint of Tyreek Hill's nickname, but I also thought there's a possibility we'll get Tom Brady or Bill Belichick in there. All right, the buys this week: New England, the Giants, the Panthers, and your San Francisco 49ers. It comes at a good time. I think, especially for the Niners, they'll be healthier. Yeah, but I was looking at it before I looked at the buys, and I was like, seems like we don't have that many games this week, and it's true, we do have 2 fewer games this week. All right. Anything else before we dive right into it?
Yeah, no, there were no bye games last week of Thanksgiving, and I think this is the last week of byes. So,
Yeah.
New England and San Francisco, with their records being what they are, kind of probably going to help them, if anything.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, you just mentioned the Dallas at Detroit game tonight. Detroit is -3 at home. The over-under is 54. This Dallas team looks good all of a sudden. I think they got a little lucky against the Eagles. A lot of things had to go right for them to win that game, but they look hot, like I said, so they're moving up and looking like a playoff team, honestly, at this point. There's still some time to go, but we'll see. And Detroit looks humbled, to say the very least. You have any thoughts on Dallas at Detroit?
You just went full Cowboys fan. Their season was over 3 weeks ago, and we knew it, and somehow we put it in reverse, and we're in that cycle of we're going to make the playoffs. This is our year. So good luck to you on that. I think Detroit's going to right the ship this week. I think we're going to realize why the Cowboys have only won 6 football games, because their defense is atrocious and gotten slightly better since the trade deadline, but not good enough to compete with these better teams. And Detroit's in a little bit of a slump, but at the same time, I think they're going to right the ship this week and get a win at home.
Also, Detroit in what is now a very competitive division with Chicago now at the 1 seed. And of course, the Packers look pretty good too. So that's an interesting development. The 1 p.m. games, Pittsburgh is at Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 5.5, which is kind of a surprising number for me. The over-under is 43. This Baltimore team got beat by Cincinnati. Obviously, Pittsburgh's not looking great, but I think 5.5 is too high. What do you think?
I found it weird because I wanted to look, and I'm going to read these stats to you right off CBS. Pittsburgh is 27th in passing. Baltimore's 26th. Pittsburgh is 15th in points. Baltimore is 12th. On offense, they're 27th and 26th. On defense or rushing, they're 27th and 24th. They're 28th and 18th in rushing. I mean, they're identical teams with identical records that play identical football. No one ever knows who's going to win this game. 6 points is crazy. The score could be 6-3, and that under is going to get blown up. But I'm not even touching this game with someone else's money, so stay away from this one.
Yeah, well, I unlocked a $5 free bet, but yeah, I'm not using it on this one. New Orleans is at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is 8.5 point favorites at home. The over-under is 42.5. New Orleans showing some pluck. That's a PL with that one. Showing some pluck. Tampa Bay, pretty good at home. I don't expect this one to be particularly close, although it is a divisional game. Yeah, I don't know. I got Tampa Bay winning this one, but 8.5 is too high.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tampa's, now in a fight for their division race. They've kind of slumped a couple games, and Carolina's trying to sneak up from behind. So, yeah, I think Tampa's going to be ready in this game. And it is a division game, and the Saints usually do play Tampa tough, but the Saints are not even a shell of what they were from 2 seasons ago when they were mediocre. They need a lot of help in a lot of positions, and it's going to take an off season and a whole other preseason to get that team even remotely close to competing.
Yeah, I mean their defense has been better than I expected them to be, but offensively they need a lot of work, which is ironic because of their head coach. But maybe they'll turn it around next year, like you said. Washington's at Minnesota. Minnesota favored in this game, 1.5. Washington taking Denver to overtime. Last week, I don't see why Minnesota would be favored at all, but the over-under is 42.5. Really like Washington in this one, unless we find out Washington's just giving up after that loss to Denver. I don't know. Why would Minnesota be favored?
They're at home, and both teams are below 500 significantly. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Injured quarterbacks, injuries all across the field. So I would just say the favor goes to the home team.
Yeah, I guess so. We don't have any more pick'ems. It's been a few seasons now since they've put out a pick'em, but so like 1.5, I guess, is the closest thing to a pick'em. Cincinnati's at Buffalo. Buffalo favored by 5.5, and the over/under is 53.5. Neither of these teams are particularly good at stopping the offenses, so I guess that's a good number there. But Buffalo by 5.5, I guess at home they deserve a couple extra points. Cincinnati with Joe Burrow back, though, I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's a much more interesting game than it would have been a few weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. Buffalo's got to be careful that they don't lose this one. They should win at home. I'm sure weather's going to be a factor, but that doesn't matter too much to people in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow just wants to go out and play football. You've seen him in an interview where he said, I'm getting paid a lot of money to go out and put on a show. So, that's kind of a different mindset than you see from a lot of athletes. It's down to earth and an honest answer. I mean, at the heart, every football player wants to play because that's what they do. But either way, Buffalo 5.5 seems like a lot, but I think Buffalo will get the win. But I don't know if I would take it either way.
Yeah, it's a stay away for me too. Indy is at Jacksonville. Jacksonville plus 1.5 at home. Home dogs. The over/under is 48. Indianapolis also looking a little humbled after the last few weeks. I guess Sauce Gardner's still out. I guess he was making kind of a big difference on the defense. And Daniel Jones has an injury. So I think Indy is a lot better than Jacksonville, but because of all the factors I just mentioned, I think it's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The Colts I'm just pulling their schedule up now. They got a pretty tough out for the rest of their season.
Yeah.
Jaguars twice, Seahawks, 49ers, and Texans. All those teams prove they can win some football games. Texans got a hell of a defense. So, they're going to, whichever team wins this game is probably going to take a good step forward in the division. Jacksonville being home, I think that D is a little better than advertised. The offense just can't be super, super productive at times, where the Colts offense has put up a lot of points this season. I don't know. That's a pretty good line. I guess I would probably take Jaguars in the little bit of a money lane advantage.
Yeah, I see that. I've got that game in croutons. So spoiler alert right there. Tennessee is at Cleveland. An unwatchable game, frankly. Cleveland favored by 3.5 at home. The over/under is 34, which might be the lowest I've seen. We might have had one that was like 32, but it's pretty low, and rightfully so, because this could be like 17-6. Do you have any thoughts? And the answer is probably no on Tennessee at Cleveland.
Tennessee is really bad. I mean, really bad. The only game they've won, if you remember, Arizona literally gave them the game. And when I mean literally gave them the game, they literally gave them the game. But no, not too many thoughts. If you guys want to hear more about the game, reach out to me. I'll break it down for you.
That would be fantastic. Seattle is at Atlanta. Atlanta plus 7 at home. The over/under 44.5. I guess it's Kirk Cousins still. Is he going to get sacked 5 times or 10 times? Is he going to survive this game? How many interceptions is he going to throw? Those are all the interesting things for me for this game. But do you have any thoughts on Seattle at Atlanta?
Well, I hope Atlanta can somehow figure out to get a victory. Maybe Kirk Cousins by a stroke of luck plays like he did 3 or 4 years ago when he was in Minnesota, and Minnesota did absolutely nothing with that talent that he had. I want Seahawks to lose, of course. I hope they lose by 50, but in reality, that 7 point line is probably not enough.
Yeah, and we talked about this before last season. We talked about what they would have to do at quarterback in order to make the Michael Penix pick worth it, and the signing Cousins for 130 million or whatever they gave him. And right now it looks like that didn't really work out. Not to pile on, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how these guys get to a position of a GM and then be like, I've got a great idea. Like, how does no one in the room, everyone in the room, not stand up, sir? I know you're in charge, but I don't think that's a great idea, and here's why.
I
And then
know.
just show Kirk Cousins highlights that are absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, they gave Kirk Cousins the money first, and then they drafted Michael Penix, and it's like they just wanted a complete set of top 10 offensive draft picks for tight end, running back, wide receiver, and quarterback. No other reason to take Michael Penix that early, but they did, and there's nothing to do about it now. So we'll
Except
see
luck.
what the plan is going forward. Obviously, they will use Michael Penix as soon as he's healthy, but it's not going to be a good year the rest of the way. Miami's at the Jets. The Jets 2.5-point underdogs at home. The over-under is 41. I like Miami a lot in this game, but I'm not going to mess with it.
Yeah, no, I think Miami has righted the ship, we'll say, and that team, the team made the mistake of basing the entire team around Tua. That defense needs to get better. That's not Tua's fault. That's not necessarily Mike's fault. I think the GM is really the person to blame for the Dolphins situation. They're going to need, if they're going to stick with Tua, they're going to need to get a quarterback to play Tua's style as a backup. For if and when he goes out again, you can see a difference in his play style over the past few weeks, and I think it's becoming a little bit better for him. They're getting adapted to it, but at the same time, they're going to need some different personnel if they're going to hang on to him and definitely get better all the way around. They've still got a chance at the playoffs, so I think they're going to win this game and hope for the best for December.
I got a suggestion here. So now that Burrow's back, maybe they could get Joe Flacco as a backup there.
Yeah, I mean, for this season, if it came down to an emergency, I think they would, but they've got to win out, and they need a couple things to go their way even to get into the playoffs. So I don't think your desperation or your sarcasm works here.
You mentioned the GM. That I believe they fired him, and they've played a lot better since. So sometimes it's the GM that needs to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, because we were thinking the coach all along, but I think they've improved vastly since then. Anyway, the 4 p.m. window starts with, for me, Denver at Las Vegas. Denver favored by 7.5. The over-under is 40 points. Speaking of teams that may have given up, I think the Raiders may have given up. This is a lost season. Pete Carroll's probably not back for next season. They already fired Chip Kelly, kind of wasting some of those players like Genty and Bowers. Just sit them and don't get them injured and move on to next year.
Yeah, they I don't know what they were thinking getting Pete Carroll to coach the football team. Hats off to him. He's had a stellar career, college and pros, won at both levels, but I don't think he's the guy anymore. Everyone keeps talking about how Mike Tomlin's going to go to the Giants, and, why would they want another 10 years of mediocrity? I think Mike Tomlin out in Las Vegas, I think that would be an interesting fit in that division as a coach. I think he could improve the Raiders to a way where they could actually be competitive against the other three teams that have been fairly competitive over the past decade. Obviously, Kansas City has dominated everybody, but Denver's been competitive. The Chargers are still competitive with Harbaugh. So I think that would be an very interesting division. Very good move for Tomlin and the Raiders. But we'll wait to see.
And you're also making the assumption that the Raiders want to win. There's a theory floating around that the Raiders right now don't really want to win. The old just win baby thing is gone. They just like bringing teams in to crush the Raiders because most of the fans there are from other places and visit just to see their team win. So I don't know if that theory is correct, but yeah, we'll see, I guess, in the next
Well,
few
if
months when we
that is the
decide.
case, they should hire Brian Flores.
Yeah, or Brian Dayball.
Yeah.
All right, Chicago's at Green Bay. Green Bay favored at home by 6.5. This over/under is 44.5. Chicago, as I mentioned, now in the 1 seed for the NFC and leading the division, of course. Green Bay up and down, to be honest with you. I know this team has talent. They lost Tucker Kraft and they weren't the same for the next couple games, but they looked pretty good last week. And Chicago's, I guess nobody believes in Chicago because 6.5 is a lot of points for a team that's demonstrating better play than the other team. But you have any thoughts on Chicago at Green Bay?
Yeah, 6.5 seems kind of crazy for when you look at it on paper and then you think about it. It's like, oh wait, the Bears are there fans like clenching like the sides of the couch, be like, wait, it's happening again. Yeah, it's happening again, and this would be the moment where it happens. Green Bay ends up beating them, and then they take the lead in the division, and then they stumble another loss, and now they're 10-7 on the season, and they miss the playoffs because the NFC West is loaded, and Detroit found their way to right their ship. That confidence in the locker room is going to be what gets it done. 6.5 is a lot of points, though, so we'll see.
All right, the Rams are at Arizona. Arizona 7.5 point underdogs at home. 47.5 is the over/under. The Rams blowing that game to Carolina is a little concerning. They looked like the favorites to me in the NFC for a few weeks, and then I guess everybody deserves to have one hiccup once in a while, and I think that's probably what it was. And I think they're going to crush the Cardinals. Do you have any thoughts on the Rams at the Cardinals?
Yeah, there's no reason to think that the Rams aren't going to win. I mean, if they throw 3 interceptions against the Cardinals like they did last week, they'll still win. So, Carolina's good enough to monopolize on those mistakes, and any football team should be, but the Cardinals aren't one of them. So, yeah, the Rams are going to win. They're going to win by a lot.
Yeah. All right. Sunday Night Football. Houston's at Kansas City. Suddenly kind of a good game. Kansas City favored by 3 at home. The over/under is 42. Houston could definitely steal this game, and that might be curtains for the Chiefs. But what do you think?
Yeah, this is I guess this would probably be an elimination game for sure, because either way, the team that loses is going to be behind for sure in the race, and that wild card spot. So they're both going to have to come to play. This game doesn't need to get flexed out. It's going to be a great Sunday night game. Going to be a good game to watch. I don't know who's going to win this game. I don't even want to bet on this game, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, though, I think. Philadelphia at the Chargers. No idea how either of these teams are going to show up and what that's going to look like. But the Chargers are on plus 2.5 at home. They're home dogs, and the over/under is 40.5. I'm not sure Philly deserves to be favored in this game, but what do you think about Philly at the Chargers?
I can't remember the last time. I mean, it's been 8 years, so I guess Philadelphia hasn't played in LA yet against the Chargers. Going to be interesting to see how the fan base travels. Philly, I don't take as one of those national teams. You're either a Philly fan because you're from the Northeast, or you hate them because they're Philly fans. So I don't think the crowds ever factor in LA, but I think the Chargers are going to be able to figure out a way to win. They need to win to stay in the game, stay in the season, stay in the hunt. And Philly, I think they're stepping back. I don't think they were as good as the record indicated all season. I think they're starting to get exposed. They're still a good football team, but they're not as good as their Super Bowl team was last year.
Yeah, it turns out if you can stop Saquon Barkley, you can pretty much shut down their offense. So people figured that out, I think, over the offseason. Or maybe there's something wrong with Saquon. I don't really know, but either way, that's happening. All right, before we get into croutons and the rest, I did promise a SIF surprise. So this one was interesting to me. I saw this week, so I thought I'd bring it here. So some of the quarterbacks in the league don't go by their first names, and you probably already knew that. But I'm going to give you 4 names of quarterbacks. 3 of them don't go by their literal first names, and one of them has an interesting middle name. So I'm going to start with... there's a Hall of Fame quarterback currently playing whose real name is John, but he goes by his middle name.
Current quarterback, future Hall of Famer. playing by first name of John. So there's only one
It's
of
not.
5 or 6 people this could be for you to call him a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
And Aaron Rodgers seems like the unobvious answer. So
it's
it's
not
not
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
Right.
So I would have to say Patrick Mahomes.
That's a good guess. It's actually Matt Stafford. All right. These are tricky. I didn't expect you to get even one of them, but maybe you will. This guy goes by a different name, but his first name is actually William. And clue for you on this one is he won the college football national championship as a freshman, and that was before, that was 2019.
That was Baker Mayfield.
So he
Can you
goes
hear me?
by, yeah, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Baker Mayfield?
No, he goes by William, but his name is Trevor.
Oh, of course, 2019.
Yeah, and so okay, this is the third one. Then I'm gonna go to the middle name guy, which you may know this one, the middle name guy. But let's start with let's go with this one first. This guy won the Comeback Player of the Year in 2022, and his real name is Eugene, but he goes by something different.
I don't know.
Geno. So it would be funny if he went by Eugene Smith. I don't know why that would be funny, but for some reason, if you actually went by Eugene, it would change the way that people look at him, I think.
Geno Eugene Smith.
Yes. Well, his real name is Eugene. So it'd really be Eugene Geno Smith. Anyway, now speaking of middle names, this last one is a middle name that I did not expect to see from this particular player. And here's a hint for you. His middle name is Donnie.
Okay.
And
he's a quarterback?
What's that?
He's a quarterback?
He's a quarterback. His middle name is Donnie, and he won the NCAA college championship his freshman year in 2019, I believe, or 2018.
Yeah, you said 2019 for Trevor, whatever his name was.
Trevor Lawrence won it.
Yeah. So 2018, who won the national championship in 2018? It was Alabama, if I remember correctly. And there were a few Alabama, so there was Jalen Hurts, there was Tua Tagovailoa. So it's not Tua because he's Hawaiian, and I know his middle name would not be that. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts.
It is Tua, though. That's what's surprising about it.
See,
I saw it
yeah,
and I had to double check it, and it's true.
So Tua Donnie Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce one of those names.
Yeah, and his real name Tua, of course, is much longer. I'm not even going to bother trying with that one. It'd be kind of funny if you went by Donnie, though. I don't know why. I just think these things are funny sometimes. All right, that was fun. Let's move on to croutons. I was 1-1 last week. I got the Cincinnati +7 for 50 croutons, but for some bizarre reason, I took the over in Chicago, Philadelphia. I don't know why. I just like to swerve, but that one was kind of obvious. I should have taken the under, if anything. So I was 1-1. I know you had a nice week, though.
Yeah, I'm back to even on the season. So I won both my bets at +1 or 150. So I've got 3 bets this week. I'm confident, and I'm ready to throw all my evens away.
Now, I think you mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I don't know whether you're talking about last week or this week. So you said you might do a spicy meatball. Is that what we're looking at this week?
It's not too spicy, but it's got a little bit of extra pepper on it.
All right. I'll let you go first because I've only got 2.
Okay, so my first one I talked about a little bit already. The Los Angeles Chargers are getting 2.5 at home against Philly. I'll bet 50 on that every time.
Yeah, I wish I had a
And they're
better
going to
feel
get me
for it,
again.
but
I say it out loud. The damn Chargers, they're going to get me again, but I'm going to bet it anyway.
yeah, exactly. I don't trust the Chargers, but it seems like you're on the right side of that one, logically.
Yeah, that's the problem.
My first one, I'm going with one tonight. Thursday Night Football, Dallas at Detroit. I think that's going to go over, and that sounds like a square bet. Everybody's going to bet the over no matter what it is, and it's 54, and that's a lot. But I don't see these defenses stepping up, so I think we're looking at a shootout, and I think it's going to be over 60 points in this one. So I'm taking the over for 50 croutons.
Yeah, that sounds like a safe bet for a nice Thursday night showdown. Let you get some money going into the weekend. My second one, I'm going to that Sunday night game, Houston at Kansas City. Houston's getting 3 points. I'll take that in Houston. I think that game's going to be down to the wire, and I think Houston might actually win that game. So I will take them in 50.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I mean, at worst, it seems like it's probably a push. So good pick there. My second pick is Indy. I'm taking them -1.5 for 50 croutons. Don't love the Jaguars. They're inconsistent, and I think Indianapolis is a much better team. So I don't mind laying the 1.5 in a game like this, and it's 50 croutons for that one too.
Okay, yeah, that's a interesting bet for sure. I don't know if that one's going to pan out for you or not. We'll see. I wouldn't take that bet, and we'll find out why in a little bit. My last one, Chicago plus 6.5 at Green Bay. That's a lot of points for a division game when both teams seem to be on the up and up. That's where I'm going to spread a little bit of extra spice into this one. I'm going to throw 100 on this one. Going to try to gain the lead on you with your little bets that you do in little increments. You're micro betting, I'm macro betting. We'll see who works.
Yeah, I think that's a rat line. I couldn't tell you which way, but I feel like that one is tricky on purpose. It makes you think Green Bay is gonna roll in this game, and there's not really a good reason to think that other than they're in Lambeau and like you were talking about earlier, Chicago's historically had a hard time there, at least over the last couple decades. So that's kind of the only reason I could see that number being so big, but I like taking the Chicago side and the points. All right, so that's croutons. We have sink or swim this week. I have a 4-point lead. I'm taking Tampa Bay to win at home against New Orleans.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you've got a team like that loaded up, ready to go on a scheduled game like this. I had to dive a little into the list. I'm going to go with Cleveland this week. I think them against Tennessee, though, seems like a sure thing. Probably more of a sure thing about Tampa over New Orleans, but we'll see who swims.
I don't think Cam Ward's going to have a lot of time back there against that front four of Cleveland, so I think you're probably right on that one. This is not a bad time to take Cleveland. All right, so our last thing here is 3 for the money, and the mayor and I talked about this, maybe switching this up because neither of us has nailed one of these parlays yet this year, so why not switch it up? So we're going to kind of live on the show discuss a good 3-team parlay, one that we can both agree on. So I've got a couple ideas, and we'll see if we have any overlap. My first idea for a 3-team parlay was Cleveland, Washington, Detroit. That's plus 392. I know Washington's kind of a scary one, but that one is plus odds. And that Minnesota team looks terrible. I don't know. I don't care which quarterback is playing. It could be Carson Wentz on a broken ankle or whatever it is. I don't like that team. But Washington not a ton better. So what do you think about Cleveland, Washington, Detroit, or any of those?
I do like Detroit in that parlay, and are they favored at home or are they not favored at home?
They are favored by 3, and it's minus 170 on the.
Okay. So I kind of probably misunderstood what we were talking about. So I picked two different parlays, a 1 p.m. parlay and a not 1 p.m. parlay. But either way, my 1 p.m. I picked Buffalo, Jacksonville, and Seattle. That comes in at like a plus 259, so not anything that's groundbreaking, earth shattering. You know, we keep swinging for the fences on these parlays, hoping to hit gold, you know, like a baseball player doing nothing but trying to hit home runs. On my evening parlay, I picked Chicago, Houston, and the Chargers. You know, all three are not favored, and all three, I think, have legitimate shots of winning that game. I'm even going to bet that actually on Hard Rock. That's a plus 1913. So I'm going to throw a couple dollars at that just to see if it sticks to the wall or not. But I really do like Chicago mixed in a parlay because it's going to give you the odds, and I think they've got a legitimate shot of winning that game.
Yeah, I had another one here that's only plus 367, and so I don't really love it, but I think we both agree on Detroit and Cleveland. Does that sound about right? We could take those two.
Sounds good to me.
And then
you plug this in because I can't be on Hard Rock at the same time, or are you not?
Yeah. That's all right. I can actually figure it out. Since we're doing this live for the first time, it might be a little bumpy, but I can figure this out. All right. So what was the other one? So we kind of said Cleveland. We agree on Detroit. And what was the other one you had that was plus odds?
I had Buffalo, Jacksonville, Seattle. All those are plus odds, but not by much.
Which one do you like the most?
Probably Seattle because they're most likely to win.
But did you have Houston in there too?
I have Houston as a win as well, and that'll bump up the odds quite a bit as well.
Yeah, so what if we did Cleveland, Detroit, Houston?
Sounds like a good parlay.
All right, so let's see what that looks like.
I would say that's probably about a plus 675 if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's going to give It's a little bit. Yeah, it's actually plus 498.
Is it?
Is that too much of a gamble on Houston to be worth it, or what do you think?
KC's sneaky, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe replace Houston with Chicago, if anything. Again,
Okay.
if we're trying to
But,
reach to make a bigger payout, then I don't know.
well, I would like to just win one of these. Would be nice.
Okay, then we should remove Houston and add in like Seattle or Tampa Bay,
All right,
and
yeah,
it'll
let's see.
be
So,
almost an even odd.
yeah, so let's see what it would be. So, Seattle, Cleveland, Detroit. So we said
Yeah,
that is just, yeah, that's just plus 201, but it looks like a pretty good way to double your money.
yeah. Bet $1 million, you'll win 1 million.
Yeah, I don't know about whether I should save my million for something else, but so we settled on that at Seahawks, Browns, Lions plus 201. We'll see if our new strategy works out. If it doesn't, we might just go back to the old one and compete. I figured we at least give this a try since it isn't working the other way.
Yeah, it's not, but that's why Vegas always wins.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that was the last thing I had. Do you have anything else before we say goodbye?
I'm looking at my random notes here on my notepad. No, it looks like we are on our way. Power rankings, I kind of looked at things. I mean, obviously, the teams, Denver, Chicago, and and New England, they've kind of moved to the tops of the power rankings. New England on a 9-game winning streak going into a bye, and Chicago just playing absolute great defense and getting interceptions, getting turnovers, and winning the turnover margin. Caleb Williams not losing football games and putting his team in position to win. They've done great in Denver. That defense is absolutely phenomenal, and the quarterback again not making bad mistakes. All three of these teams are playing football fundamentally, and they're winning. It's not necessarily any specific thing on a team, and it's taken a whole total team effort for these teams to get there. But how are they going to fare in the playoffs? We'll wait to see. Some of these teams like the Rams or the Seahawks or Tampa, who's got that playoff experience, it could give them a run for their money.
Yeah, let's put together some official rankings for week 15 cuz then we'll be truly in the hunt for the playoffs, the stretch run if you will. So, let's look at that closer next week. So, for the mayor myself, thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week. Have a good night and enjoy the game.